Welcome everyone to the world champion Domaraju Gukesh taking on Jan Krzysztof Duda. This is the tournament in Zagreb where Gukesh really kicked off the Rapid with some amazing play. He topped the Rapid tournament, even beating Magnus Carlsen there. And then the blitz began, and it has been a very topsy-turvy ride for the youngster. He just scored 1.5 points out of 9 rounds on day 1 of blitz, and day 2 has begun already with 2 losses. And now this is the third game of the final day against Duda. Duda is someone whom Gukesh knows inside out because he has practiced with him over 300 games in the year 2024 preparing for the World Championship, because the World Championship, if tied, does have rapid tie breaks and then blitz tie breaks, and Gukesh actually took the help of Duda for the preparation of those games, and now they are pitted against each other. It's always interesting to see when two players who have worked a lot with each other want to fight it out on the board, then they try to play something offbeat, unorthodox, and I guess we'll get to see that as well. Duda did win their first blitz game on the previous day, but it's now time for the game to begin. E4 by Duda, E5 by Gukesh, knight to F3, knight C6, and he pushes his pawn to G3. Gukesh brings his knight out, pawn D3, bishop C5, and you can see what Duda is doing here. He's trying to play something offbeat, non-theoretical. This is also what Nodirbek likes to play with white pieces when he's trying to play for a win. We are so used to the light squared bishop being either on c4 or b5 that this g2 is not the normal square for it. Knight a3, rook e8. You can see black trying to play very normally here, putting the rook on a normal square, putting pressure in the center. And now white goes h3, just taking into control the g4 square. Gukesh has to decide whether he wants to break d5 at some point. He goes bishop d7. Maybe somewhere he just wants to place his queen on c8 and put pressure here. Knight goes to c2. So you want to threaten, or I'm not threaten, but just develop your bishop here. Trades, knight takes. The knight then looks on d5 and f5 square. So these are the possibilities. He's taking his time here and goes knight to e7. Well, that's a very interesting move because Gukesh wants to put his knight on the g6 square and then later go c6 and d5. At some point, one of the players has to get things moving, and d4 does seem interesting, but if you take, then bishop b6, somehow this pawn does get a bit soft, like rook e1. I'm already thinking, should I play my knight here? d5, e5, knight e4, typical ideas. He goes knight h4, and Duda stops, I guess, knight g6. And maybe now knight e3, knight f5. These are the plans coming in. Let's see what Gukesh does here. He plays his bishop back to b6. And king to h2 played. Very calmly played here. Idea f4. And Gukesh now feels the right time to open up the position and go d5. So if you take, he wants to take back with the knight, defending the pawn in the center. And perhaps now f4 doesn't make sense, because if you play f4, ef, gf, de, f, these pawns are just too weak, and this diagonal is too weak, and you can just go bishop c6, and I think black's position is really nice. So in a way, pushing f4 doesn't make sense now. He goes knight to e3. And let's see how Gukesh continues here. It's interesting to see that Gukesh already has gotten a very comfortable position. One plan is to just push his pawn to c6 and strengthen the center. The second is to give up the bishop for the knight. Gukesh goes bishop e6, a completely fine move. And here, I think Duda has a nice chance. He can take, knight takes and play knight c4, attacking the bishop and the pawn. But instead, he goes queen e2. And now Gukesh plays pawn to c6, bolstering his center here. Duda has 3 minutes 18 seconds. Gukesh has 3 minutes 47 seconds here. I guess one of the plans could very well be to go b3 and bishop a3. I don't know if knight f5 makes sense here. But looks interesting actually, to jump in with the knight. Yeah, it does kind of make black center very, very powerful. Queen d7, e4. Duda goes f4. Insane. He takes huge risks. Gukesh very quickly takes and takes on f4, gf4. And now a very, very important moment in the game. Because white is threatening f5 or e5, these central pawn pushes, and these are dangerous. But you can see the h4 knight is slightly weak. It's unprotected. And so here Gukesh finds an amazing move, knight g6. And the reason why I like this move is because firstly the knight is hanging. It can't move away, f4 pawn is hanging. Going to f5 makes no sense because I take and the e file opens up with the rook opposite the queen. So logically, you must take the knight. That's the best move here for black, for white. And so here, Duda has to think, and once you take, it seems like black structure is spoiled, but the pawn on g6 that will come will restrain the pawn on f4 from moving ahead. It's such a nice concept here that Gukesh is playing for. And Duda not so sure what to do. He takes on g6, f takes g6. And now if you push e5, I already have my knight jumping into d5, which looks completely fine. It's not so simple for white to continue here. Also remember the king on h2 not feeling so safe. Duda using much more time than Gukesh. Bishop f3 played. And now there's a very interesting maneuver here, which is knight d7, knight c5, trying to look at the d3 square. It's a very nice one. But also some other moves like queen e7, bishop c7, many options. And Gukesh starts thinking a bit. I also think that the f4 pawn is a big weakness. So Gukesh can try to mount on it, moving the knight away with this plan, bishop going back to c7, rook going to f8. For Gukesh, I think one of the main tasks here is to keep his nerves. When you are not doing well in a tournament, it's not so easy for you. He goes g5. Wow, what a move here by Gukesh. Because once you take here, I believe he wants to just simply play bishop c7 check. I'm not so sure. This move g5 and Duda takes it and asks this question to Gukesh. Hey, why did you give up the pawn? What's on your mind? Gukesh goes for a check. King comes back to h1. And now the h3 pawn is hanging. But of course your knight is also attacked, so he takes on g5. And now this is a big threat to take on h3 with the pawn. Duda is thinking here. He goes queen to g2. And if bishop c7, there could be a potential for an attack. Because Duda has defended his g2 pawn, h3 pawn, also attacked the g5 pawn. 45 seconds for Jan Krzysztof Duda. 2 minutes for Gukesh. Goes bishop c7. Fantastic move. And white has to somehow organize his pieces on good squares. Goes knight to f5. Gukesh says the knight has to go. ef5. And now a powerful strike. g4. What an amazing move by Gukesh. This is just brilliant. Duda takes king f7. Oof. Oof. The rook is coming from the h file. And a check, king g1. Check here. And that's curtains. Beautiful chess. Beautiful chess. Opening up the h file. Rook d1 attacking the queen. But isn't there a check? That could simply be lights out. Here. Check on h8. In fact, even stronger than that is queen c5 finds it. Gukesh in amazing form here suddenly. Playing some great chess. Threatening this check. And you can see Duda there. He's like, I have hardly any moves left. He goes rook d4 trying to block that diagonal. But rook e1 check and resigns. What a game by Gukesh here. And Duda is like, I just didn't play well here. And of course for Gukesh, this could be a very important game which helps his tournament. It didn't really help later, but nonetheless, a nice victory against his friend.